Marijuana's bad.
Hey guys, AK here, and we're back in the studio. Today I thought what I would do is actually give some context to some of the tutorials I've been doing where I've been using this 3-stage neuro template to make some basses, but that's just really just about making the basses and not about using the basses. So I thought today I've spent some time programming some interesting drums, and I thought I would just try to start a tune with some heavy basses, maybe work in a drop, but really show you guys what I do once I get all of these different basses and long droning wave files into a tune and how they become a track. So I have a bunch of drums here and just different cue points for different drum parts that I might want to try. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the template file that I have, and instead of loading up the whole template file, I'm just going to expose the tracks in the set, and I'm going to take that AK basses, or my rendered basses track, and just bring it right into this project. And what that's going to do is it's going to create an empty audio track, but then I have all these things, and I can just grab these and sort of throw them in a track. So here I'll listen to what I got here, solo this, and that's cool. I might take that FM talk and start with that. So I'll take this track and I'll bring it in as an audio track here, right at my start. One of the easy ways to work with a long file like this is actually to create another track and call this your chopping block, and turn this off and then bring the actual file onto the chopping block. So this is the track that's actually going in. This is the chopping block. That way we can solo this and listen for parts that are interesting. And I'm just trying to find a little interesting clip to start working with. So I'll copy that clip, and now I'll listen to my drums a little bit and start putting this in different beats or in different parts on the grid. And I'll put my grid into triplets, quarter notes, and just sort of listen and paste it in. And I'm not actually really going for any sort of melody yet. I'm really just going to put these in different places and then use my scrubber to move stuff around, thereby finding different parts of the sample that make sense. So I like the first hit, but I don't like this part. So what I can do is just select it and move. There we go. Now we have a little phrase here. And when you're doing this, you might need to line things up a little bit better. I can see that this transient probably belongs on the grid line here. Again, just going for a brief sketch. And you can do things like, I could render this and then, pitch it up. And then maybe try it here. And I'm hearing something here where it might be cool. I'm just going to move this stuff over. If this didn't happen to here and it was and then this time it maybe was pitched down. Maybe you guys can already hear what I'm hearing in my head. I'm hearing a doop, doop, doop. Wow. And then the wow should be here. So we got and actually it should probably be here. Or here rather. There we go. And then now that I have something I like, what I might do is create another audio track, get rid of the default EQ I have on there, and then just move this down here. So I can take this is going to start to become my bass. I'll put it in a group now so I can keep my basses organized. So this is some basses. And then I will draw an exact bar and duplicate this out 4 times. Maybe 8 times. So take this group of 4 and just duplicate it once more. Alright, so now I have like this stuff that I'm not using. What I might do is sort of do the same process over of putting something on my chopping block, and I'll try a different file this time. Maybe I'll do, well, I'm in F, so if I take a G file, I'm going to have to pitch it, which is fine. The way when I label these, I always put the core note or key that the little riff is in. So now I have this new file in my chopping block. And if we think about it, G and F are actually just one note apart. So if I pitch this down twice, it should be F. And I'm actually probably gonna, should I unwarp it? No, I'll leave it warped because I did it at a particular BPM and I wanted to sync. I might end up unwarping these clips to get a bit of a cleaner tone because when the clip is warped and you transpose it, it just tends not to be as clean as if it's unwarped. I'll show you what I mean when we get a couple examples. So I'm listening to something. Just listening for filter automation that I like, and it was right there. So I'll take that, I'll bring it up top. It's almost like this is our chopping block. This is our like, can we make it fit? And then once we make it fit, we move it into the group on a new track. That's sort of my method here. That stuff's cool. Move that up here. That's kind of cool. I'll just take this part and move this up here as well. Okay, now I can turn this off, I can go back to my tune, and I can try to fit this in. Probably not on this first group here. Probably starting here is when it could use another element. And I'll pull this back. And then I'm going to start to get technical here with 16th triplets. Then I might take this one and reverse it. That would be cool. That didn't sound so cool. That didn't sound cool at all. Let's go back the other way. Maybe if I... That was kind of cool, actually. 14. All right, so here we're getting to a point where I'm stretching these files, and what might actually work really well is to unwarp them once I have them sort of synced up here. So here's like our rhythm. And when you'll see when I unwarp them, here's a really good example. So this is warped and it's pitched up 10 semitones. When I unwarp it, you'll see the distance changes, and it actually speeds up because I'm warping it, because I'm transposing it up. But it's a much cleaner timbre. So I might need to reposition the sample, but I get ultimately a better sound. So I'm just going to do that to all these. I'm going to select the ones that are warped and unwarp them, and you're going to see it changes the distance. And then, like with this one, I might warp it back, and I want to use the previous set of warp markers. With these, I think I like them better warped. No, no, no. I think that's kind of cool. So let's listen to what we got. It's a little weird at the end. Maybe if I split this one like this. Maybe just like that. And then I can take this, and now that I have a part that I like, I can create another track in my basses. Put that in my basses. Start labeling stuff. This is going to be bass 1, this is going to be bass 2, and then now I have like a second loop that I can include in here. And I'll duplicate it 4 times. So we have 2 here, and then we have this riff going here. I should probably go to that track and make sure there's no EQ on yet. Well, let's listen. I have some other percussion hitting, it looks like. And then what I'm hearing now is when this percussion kicks in, it might be interesting. And by the way, at this point, if this is bothering us, we can get rid of what's on our chopping block because we used what we care about. And it's still there if we want to grab it. It's still G for the win. But what I was hearing is when this percussion piece starts, these hits are a little bit too long. So what I might just go in there and do is just drag them off a little bit by holding Command and just dragging them a little bit away from the end of the triplet line. And this actually has the effect of creating sort of a much more staccato feel to the phrase, which sometimes can work really well, because sometimes this type of variation is exactly what you need to sort of make a groove. And then, you know, sometimes it's too different from the original thing that we're sort of changing it from. We'll find out in a second here. So again, just cutting off the tail end of these to sort of hear what the staccato feel changes like, or what the staccato feel will create in this phrase when we have this percussion now. Let's listen to it, the first one and then the second one. So we'll start here. Cool. So I like that. I like that a lot. What might be interesting is if there was another bass introduced in for this part of the percussion, and then oh, I forgot we still have stuff up here. Oh, I like that though. All right, so I'm actually gonna make another bass track for this little hit at the end. I didn't hear that it was in there, but I do like it. And I might even just do something like run the filter up. Oops, curve it up. There we go. So let's find a third bass to sort of complete the phrase and have something going on here. Yeah, I'm going to save. Let's take something that maybe we made in another video. Ooh, F dicey. I wonder what that is like. That might be more of like a drone than a phrase. Let's take F dicey. We'll bring it onto our chopping block and listen to it. Oh yeah. That's a droney note. So it gets bendy. Oh, that's awesome. So I'm going to take one of these, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to unsolo stuff. We're going to listen to our track, and then when we get to this section, we're going to probably paste in an F. Right there. Right there. Maybe really short. And as I'm going through, I might actually mute out parts of the original or of the G phrase, and that's cool because remember, I'm just going to bring it in as a third bass, probably in this track, bass 3. And then for this one, I might find another part of the bass that I like. What if I pitch this down? Oops, maybe I'll move this like this. What if it was here? Let's find another one. And you know, it is a little bit painstaking, but all really making good electronic music or complex electronic music on the computer is going to be. That's cool. So I like that. Is that the right pitch? Is that right? What about another mode? That's cool. There it is. All right, so actually I think it's probably just a few cents up from that. Anyway, sort of quickly go over what we've done here. We had I had my drums starting off going into this, and I've been taking these different basses that I've made, and I'm putting them onto this chopping block. I am finding complementary parts in this sort of temporary RSM track for get myself organized. And then I'm sort of, once I've found a part that I like, or sort of codifying it, I'm putting it in my bassist channel, and just continuing on writing my song. So why I like this method is I get really complex articulations on some of these basses. We haven't witnessed too many of those yet, but really these big, fat, chunky bass sounds that I don't have to worry about making while I'm working on this track. In fact, I don't know how far are we? We're only 21 minutes in, and I already have something. And, once I'm listening back, if I feel like the intro sounds empty, I could take this little bass 4 and bring it, into the intro and then just modify it a little bit. Dun 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 would be cool. Dun dun dun. And then find another thing for this. It should be an F, so it's probably okay. What happens if we go into complex mode? Not pro, just complex, and make it... What about like little stabs? Doot doot. Maybe triplet stabs. Doot doot doot. No, definitely not triplet stabs. What happens if we try complex spread? Nope. What about tones? What about texture? That's cool. That's cool. We need a reverb, though, to make this work. So I'll just quickly insert a return track, call it reverb, go to my presets. I have the reasonable reverb, which is pretty much the reverb I use at least in one instance on every single track. And it's not all that much. It's really just, it's a rack that has a reverb with a low cut on it, the dry wet at 100. It's got utility to boost it up a little bit. Usually jack up the decay time, maybe move up the diffusion and use some chorus. Yeah, that should be good. And then what I can do is I can send this to the verb. That's a lot cooler. There we go. Reverb and bass can be cool. And then we pretty much can keep doing the same thing again, except I'm just going to modify this patch or this line a little bit. Not something in triplets. So it's dun, dun, yeah, that's cool. That's actually kind of a cool little variation. Oops, I want to copy this, which is on 30.3, so I'm going to put it on 32.3, and now I have like a little interlude, which I'll actually call out with a marker to say beat changes, because the emphasis is a little bit different on this one than on this one on the start. So now I sort of like have an intro. And this could be like a mini break-ish. And then what happens next? Do we bring the percussion back in? Yeah, we bring the percussion back in. So we might even be able to, for this section, just take the whole first section that we made and do it again here. Except do something maybe different with this note. And then, you know, what's cool is that any single time, like, I want to make a little edit, like I want to put a new note here instead of this one, I have all these different things to choose from. And if I hold Command, I can actually scroll beyond the transients, which is nice. I don't know if you guys saw that. If you just normally scroll, it will snap to where the transients is, but if you hold Command, you can just find a chunk in the middle. And then just trim off the end, so there's sort of like an ascension to it. There's my break. So I'll call it a break here. And then this is like kind of like a verse or something. See, we're already writing a song. We are only 30 minutes in and we're already writing a song here. We haven't even done anything other than bass and drums. Maybe this will be a drum and bass track. So for this verse, it's definitely time to bring in, it's probably time to bring in a theme, something with a bit more repetition, but something that fits with this initial pattern. So I'm going to derive this from one of these existing basses that I've already made. This is so narrowy. I think I'm going to use this. I don't know how the heck I'm going to do this. One thing that might be interesting, we'll try another way of chopping this up. Oops, that doesn't go there. This goes on my chopping block. And the chopping block is good because it can keep you sort of in time too. So I know that this is what I have to do next. What I might do here is actually just take this whole thing and make a bass 5 track, and then take this and put it here, or actually, yeah, and then create a new MIDI track and put a, operator on it. Just a blank ass sine wave, nothing special. Doesn't need to be anything. We're going to use this MIDI to mute the audio, and then I'm going to take a gate and put it on the audio track, and I'm going to take the gate's sidechain input and have it come from, we'll call mute stuff. Have it come from mute stuff. So mute stuff is just a MIDI track that, let me unsolo everything, that we don't actually want turned on, but the reason that we're doing it is so that we can mute this audio. So if I bring the threshold down here, I don't know if you guys can see what's going on. When I'm pressing these notes, it's triggering, when I'm pressing a note here on my controller, it's triggering mute stuff to play a note, which is allowing the audio through. And I've actually done this backwards. I'm going to flip it. So now when if I solo these two things, and when I play a note, it will mute. You hear that? Why is this significant? This is significant because I can take a groove, an existing groove from my song, and create a MIDI track that will sort of mute this in an interesting way. But rather than do that, I think I might just take an existing groove from some percussion MIDI data that I have. So like I have in my little AK folder, there's a whole folder I have of different grooves of MIDI data. And actually, maybe I want this to go the other way, where it plays when these things play. That's not working. I'm going to go to my operator and make sure that there's like no release. No, that's not working either. That's kind of cool. Let's listen to our drums. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And what's cool is I can just, at this point, I can just cut out parts where it shouldn't be playing. And it's nice because I can actually just like look where I have other audio clips being played and just cut where that is, so that'll sort of make this bass not fill all the room, or rather give these other parts space to breathe. So I'm just going to quickly go through, and I'm not going to cut everywhere where there's a part, just sort of generally, because I do want them to be blended a bit. Alright, let's see what this is sounding like. Oh, I got a long ways to go here. And then, like, for this one, maybe I'll do something a little different, like, take another groove here for my groove pool. And you could just use the Ableton groove pool, too. I'm going to double the length of this. And I might even like take this and try some transposition modulation where if I activate my envelopes, find transposition, this could actually like go up. What if it was complex? That's not going to work. What if it was like... That's not going to work. What about this? I like this part, but I don't like this part. So what I'm going to do is delete this. Let's reset the envelope and maybe make it like, I don't know, 24 pitched up. Let's find something else that's going to work here for us. I might create an empty MIDI track so I can drag these long MIDI tracks in here and not lose this part that I like. Let's make this reasonable. Maybe I'll do like a fun sample here or something like that instead of having this droning bass happen. This is cool. I'm going to resample it. So I'm going to take an audio channel, empty audio channel, and just hit record, and then I'm going to futz with the, might even, one tip is like when you're doing this, something like this, you hear something you like and you want to just mess with it and resample it, loop it so that you have as much time as you want to mess with the grain size, or in my case it's the grain size. So I'll record this. Come on, live. And I could try it with more flux. It's a terrible noise. So I'm going to delete this stuff because I don't need it. And then what I'm left with is a really long an audio clip that has pretty much everything I did. Come on, there we go. And why won't you start from the beginning here? Start from the beginning. Cool. So now I have this. I'll do the same thing with this guy that I do for all the other things. So I'll move it up to my resampling track, and I'll try to find something that fits. Those first two hits are awesome. That's cool. Let's create another track for this so I can hear everything in context and just mute this. Let's see what this is. I like that. Cool. Now I'll bring this one back in and try to find places for all this stuff. Dun dun da da. Should be like da. Ah, da. Where's my other da? Da da. Nope, in between those two. Come on, where are you? Cut, paste. This guy's going to be bass 6. Nope. Here. Where is it? It's definitely not on triplets. Maybe here this goes. And this could be like, alright, so this is kind of like a new groove section here. Now, I realize we have no pads, we have no reverbs, we have no real melodies, but we have about 1 minute and 30 seconds of interesting bass articulations, and we got there in, okay, 45 minutes, so it wasn't a short journey, but it was a good journey, and it was a good journey because I really got to spend time thinking about where things go rhythmically rather than being so bogged down in processing and various, synth effects. And at this point, I probably will, if I turn this into a track, I probably will go through and actually do different effects change on each of these basses and do some EQing to make them fit together a little bit better. But I think the whole point that I wanted to demonstrate here is that when you make bass separately in a separate project, you can take the best of the complex modulation and complex routings and effects that you've created and leverage them in the context of a project rather quickly when you have them all in separate files that are well organized. So this is my method that I wanted to share with you. We'll listen back to what we got one more time, and I will save this because I kind of like it and I might actually use it. If you guys have any questions about what I've done here, definitely let me know. I am more than happy to answer questions and to take requests. But in particular, I really hope that the video that I made on narrow resampling, this is a nice sort of cousin to it, or a nice sort of second watch, so you can see how you might actually use different basses that you made in the context of a track. And we've only even scratched the surface here. I've only used like 3 different clips. I'm gonna turn these basses down. Nice. Hope you guys learned something. Stay tuned for more videos, maybe more of this track. If people like this track enough, let me know, and I will turn this into Track with AK Volume 2. Have a nice Sunday, everyone.